Ladies and gentlemen, there's a moment in everyone's life when everything could change, but most never realize it. Why? Because they're waiting for something big, some miracle, some magic. But real transformation doesn't begin with a new year, or a new job, or even a new relationship. It begins with one mental shift, a small decision deep within, that has the power to rewrite your entire future. That shift is this: you are not a prisoner of your past. You are the author of your next chapter. Everything changes the moment you stop living from your history and start living from your vision. The moment you stop asking, "What did I go through?" and start asking, "Who am I willing to become?" That's where the future begins, not in the conditions around you, but in the conviction within you. The world has trained you to believe that your story is already written, that your failures define your ceiling, that your scars are limitations, that the past is a prophecy. But that is a lie. Your past is not a prophecy. It's a platform. You can use it to rise or use it as a reason to stay small. That choice is yours. The moment you shift from reaction to creation, everything changes. You stop waiting for life to hand you power and realize it's been in your hands the whole time. You stop letting fear drive the car, and you take back the wheel. You stop asking for permission to be great, and you simply decide to be. This shift is not about ignoring your pain. It's about transforming it. It's about looking it in the eye and saying, "You will not write my ending, I will." You see, most people live by default. They follow old patterns, old emotions, old stories on repeat like a broken record. And then they wonder why their future looks just like their past, but not you, not anymore, because today you choose a new thought, a new identity, a new narrative. You realize that the future doesn't belong to those who try harder, it belongs to those who believe differently. You can hustle all day long, but if your mind is stuck in survival, you'll always attract struggle. The real shift isn't outside, it's inside. It's when you start waking up every day and speaking from your future, not your failure. When you make decisions from where you're going, not where you've been, that's when life starts moving with you, not against you. You don't need the world to change. You just need to change how you see yourself in it. The day you take responsibility for your mindset is the day you take authority over your destiny. There comes a moment in life, not marked by clocks or calendars, but by the quiet fire in your soul, where you feel a deeper pull, a divine invitation to rise beyond who you've been and step into who you were always meant to be. This isn't about motivation alone, this is about transformation, a sacred shift in the way you think, the way you see yourself, and the way you walk through this world. Tonight, I want to speak to that part of you that knows, deep down, that you were created for more. Not just more success, but more meaning, not just more progress, but more purpose, because the truth is, one mental shift, one change in perspective, can break chains you've carried for years. This is not just a speech. It's a spark, a reminder that your future is not waiting on the world, it's waiting on you. Let's begin. We all have a past, a story filled with choices, mistakes, lessons, regrets, pain, and victories. But far too many people live as if their past has the final say in who they can become. They walk forward looking backward, dragging shame, guilt, and fear into every new opportunity. But here's the truth: your past is not your sentence. It's not your identity, it's not the ceiling of your potential, it's a chapter, not the whole book. The most powerful thing you can do is make a decision, a real, conscious decision, to stop living from your history and start living from your vision. Living from your past means you let old patterns run your present. It means you carry stories that no longer serve you. "I've always been this way. This always happens to me. I'm not good enough." These beliefs are not facts, they are worn-out scripts that your mind keeps replaying. And if you don't interrupt them, they become your future by default. But when you shift, when you say enough, and start to live from vision, from the person you are becoming, not the person you were, that's where the transformation begins. That's when your life starts to match your power instead of your pain. Your past might explain you, but it does not excuse you from growing. It may have shaped you, but it does not have the authority to limit you. Every wound, every setback, every heartbreak, None of it has the right to decide who you become unless you give it that power. The moment you stop asking, "Why did that happen to me?" and start asking, "How will I rise from this?" is the moment you reclaim control of your destiny. Vision is a force. It pulls you forward. It gives you something greater than your fear, greater than your memory, greater than your excuses. When you live from vision, you stop letting the rear-view mirror guide your future. You stop defining yourself by what broke you, and you start building from what's inside you. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it decide how the rest of your life unfolds. The most courageous thing you can do is dream with your eyes wide open, while the scars are still healing. To believe in who you could be, even when who you've been feels heavy. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to rewrite legacy. You are not a product of what happened. You are a creator of what's possible. That is the shift. That is the moment everything changes, when you stop living from memory and start living from imagination. From soul, from bold, radical, unstoppable vision, and when that happens, the past no longer holds you. It simply becomes proof of how far you've come and how powerful your future can truly be. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. They wake up responding to alarms, notifications, problems, and expectations. They move through life based on what happens to them, not what's possible through them. This reactive mindset becomes a trap, one where external circumstances dictate internal peace. But the moment you choose to shift from reaction to creation, everything changes. You stop waiting for life to calm down and start becoming the calm within the chaos. You stop responding to life and start designing it. Reaction is rooted in fear, in habit, in survival. It's when you make decisions out of pressure rather than purpose. But creation is a whole different energy. It's proactive. It's intentional. It's when you wake up not asking, "What do I have to survive today?" but instead, "What do I want to build today?" That one question changes the direction of your life, because creation demands clarity. It requires you to know who you are, what you value, and where you're going, not because someone told you, but because you've chosen it. When you live in reaction, you give away your power. You become a product of your environment, shaped by opinions, disappointments, and circumstances. But when you live in creation, you become the architect of your experience. You start shaping your environment instead of being shaped by it. You start choosing your thoughts instead of letting them run wild. You begin responding with purpose instead of reacting with emotion. And with each intentional act, you build a life that reflects your highest self, not your wounded self. This shift is subtle, but its effects are radical. You may still face the same storms, but you face them differently. You no longer get knocked off course every time life pushes against you. You become steady, grounded, and focused, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You realize that while you can't control what happens around you, you always have control over what you create from it. Creation starts with responsibility, the decision to stop blaming, stop waiting, and stop hiding behind someday. It begins when you say, "If I don't take charge of my life, someone else will." That's not pressure, that's power. Because once you claim it, nothing can take it from you, not failure, not fear, not your past. Your life becomes your message, your vision becomes your compass, and your actions begin to align with the future you're building, not the pain you're escaping. That's the freedom that comes from the shift, from reaction to creation. You stop surviving and you start living, not by default, but by design, and in doing so, you rewrite the story not just for yourself, but for everyone who watches you rise. There comes a moment in every life where you must decide, am I the victim of what happened, or the author of what comes next? Too many people hand over the pen of their life story to their circumstances, their past, or the people who hurt them. They live in a loop of blame, waiting for something or someone to change the narrative for them. But the truth is, no one else is coming to rescue you, and no one else should, because you were never meant to be a character in your own story. You were meant to be the author. Being the author means taking full ownership. It means understanding that while you may not be responsible for everything that happened to you, you are absolutely responsible for what you do next. Your power begins the moment you stop waiting and start writing. No more, they made me feel this way. No more, it's always been like this. That's the language of a victim, and while your pain is valid, your potential is even more real. When you decide to be the author, something inside you shifts. You stop seeing your past as the full picture and start seeing it as the background to a much bigger story. You realize that every challenge was a setup for strength, that every closed door was a redirection, not a rejection. Authors don't ignore the dark chapters. They use them. They pull meaning from the pain and purpose from the process. And then they write the next page with courage. Taking authorship doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise differently, you begin to speak differently. Instead of saying, I can't, you say, I'm learning. Instead of saying, I've always been this way, you say, I'm becoming something greater. You take back the power of your voice, your choice, and your vision. And with that power, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop circling the same emotional patterns and begin creating new ones that match the life you want, not the life you feel stuck in. And yes, authors feel fear. Authors face uncertainty, but they write anyway. They move forward even when the outcome is unclear, because deep down they know that the greatest stories ever told weren't perfect. They were real. They were messy, powerful, raw, and redemptive, just like you. So here's the challenge. Pick up the pen. Stop rereading the same chapter hoping it ends differently. Decide today that the next part of your life will not be an echo of your past. It will be a bold, intentional expression of who you are and who you're meant to become. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are the miracle in motion, rewriting the future, one word, one choice. One day at a time. We're told to work harder, hustle longer, and push stronger. And yes, effort matters, but the truth is, effort alone will never outwork belief. You can pour your whole life into trying to succeed, but if deep down you still see yourself as unworthy, broken, or not enough, you'll always sabotage what you build. Why? Because the outer world only rises to meet the inner world you carry. This is the shift most people miss. The future doesn't belong to those who try harder. It belongs to those who believe differently. Belief is the soil where transformation grows. It's the internal thermostat that determines what you allow, what you expect, and what you create. People often ask why success seems easier for others, why some keep rising while others stay stuck. The answer isn't always talent or timing, it's alignment. When you believe in the worth of your vision, your actions start flowing from clarity instead of insecurity. You stop chasing results to prove something, and you start building because you already know you're worthy. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's when your identity and your intention begin walking in the same direction. You don't attract what you hustle for, you attract what you expect. You attract what you're available for. If your belief system is built on fear, you'll move with hesitation. If it's built on shame, you'll constantly self-sabotage. But if it's built on faith, if it's built on the truth that you are enough, capable, and chosen for something greater, then you'll start making decisions that reflect power, not lack. And those decisions, they compound, they change everything. Changing your belief doesn't mean ignoring the facts. It means choosing a higher truth. You can acknowledge the struggle and still believe in the promise. You can see the storm and still move forward with trust. It's not pretending that life is easy. It's believing that you are stronger, and that belief is what rewires your habits, your energy, and your destiny. The future belongs to the person who wakes up and says, no matter what happened yesterday, I still believe something beautiful is possible today. When you believe differently, you show up differently, you speak differently, you treat yourself with more respect, you hold boundaries, you stop settling, you stop apologizing for dreaming big. That shift from proving to owning, from doubting to knowing, is what turns average moments into divine opportunities. You no longer walk through life hoping to be seen. You walk knowing you carry value with every step. So don't just grind, don't just hustle, believe. Believe in the unseen, the process, and the purpose inside of you. Because when belief and action come together, life doesn't just happen, it begins to respond. Doors open, people align, and the path you once thought was impossible becomes the one you're walking on, one bold step at a time. Most people are looking for a breakthrough outside of themselves. They think they need a better job, a different relationship, more money, or a perfect plan. But the truth is, the breakthrough they're waiting for isn't out there, it's in here. The moment you shift your mindset, everything else begins to shift with it. One new belief, one honest decision, one committed choice can realign the direction of your entire life. That's the power of a single mental shift. It's not dramatic, but it is defining. It may happen in a quiet moment, but its ripple effects are undeniable. When you begin to think differently, you start to act differently. And when your actions change, your outcomes inevitably follow. It's not magic, it's momentum. One shift in mindset sets off a chain reaction. You stop tolerating what once drained you. You stop settling for cycles that used to keep you stuck. You begin to say yes to what elevates you and no to what diminishes your value. That's not ego, that's alignment, and alignment is where purpose lives. Most people are trained to think in patterns that keep them small. They carry beliefs from childhood, from trauma, from culture, and never question them. They say things like, "This is just the way I am," or "Things never work out for me." But what if that's just a story you've told yourself so many times that you started believing it? And what if in one moment you decided to challenge that story, to rewrite it from a place of truth instead of fear? That decision changes everything, because the life you experience is filtered through the mindset you hold. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. Your mental shift doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. It's the choice to take ownership over your thinking, to stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from new wisdom. It's the moment you trade your excuses for empowerment, when you shift from "why me" to "what now," when you go from "I can't do this" to "I'm growing into someone who can." That one change in language, that one turn in perspective, unlocks something deeper than motivation. It unlocks transformation. Everything begins with the mind, not because it's easy, but because it's where your decisions are born. You can have all the tools, all the strategies, all the support, but if your mind is still chained to the old version of you, you'll keep repeating the same life. But when your mindset upgrades, your results follow. Relationships shift, health improves, confidence rises, opportunities find you, because now you're thinking like the person who's already arrived, not the one who's still trying to catch up. So if you're looking to change your life, don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for the world to hand you permission. Make the shift, think differently, decide differently. That one internal turn can realign your whole path and rewrite your entire future. And so, here's what it all comes down to. Your life is not determined by chance, by luck, or even by your past. It is shaped by your mindset, moment by moment, choice by choice. The power to change is not somewhere far off in the distance. It lives within you right now. One shift, one brave decision, one refusal to be defined by what was, and one bold step toward what can be. That's how futures are rewritten. That's how legacies are built. This is your moment to rise, to break free from the old stories and speak new ones into existence, to stop shrinking to fit your fear and start expanding to fit your vision, because you are more than what happened to you. You are who you decide to become. And that decision starts today. Thank you for giving your time, your heart, and your focus to this message. Now go live it, with courage, with fire, and with unstoppable purpose.